Welcome students to 12th physics lecture, online lecture. So today we'll continue with yesterday's topic, that is wave optics. So children, let us have the recap. That last lecture what we studied, that is we studied polarization. So what is polarization? Polarization is nothing but the restriction of the electric vectors in a particular direction perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light, that we saw yesterday. Then we saw some terms regarding the polarization: unpolarized light, polarized light, Polaroid, then the plane of vibration and plane of polarization. Then we saw Malus law, in which we have seen that the intensity, we saw that the intensity of the relation of intensity with when from the unpolarized light, when light passes through the second polarizer. Then we saw the relation of Brewster's law, mathematical form also we have seen, that theta b is equal to tan inverse n2 upon n1. That was Brewster's law. Then polarization by scattering. And at the end we saw the introduction of interference. Now interference, children, what is interference? Interference, we have seen that when the waves, two waves, they arrive at the same point, when they overlap each other, then we have at an instant we have constructive interference and destructive interference, and then these form the fringes or bands. Now where do we see this type of example? Now the examples we see is like the feather of the peacock. We have that colorful, we can see that colorful things on the peacock, on the feather of the peacock. Then other example is when the oil or petrol or kerosene is put on the water, then we see a thin film. That is nothing but interference. Then we saw constructive interference, destructive interference, what is it? And then we have, today we are going to see Young's double slit experiment. Now why Young's double slit experiment? Yesterday I told you that Young Thomas was the first scientist who made, experimentally performed experiment and showed that how the light is in the form of wave, and the interference pattern was observed when we took two coherent sources. Now what are the two coherent sources? Yesterday we discussed about it. Coherent sources is the source which is derived from the same source, primary source, and then we get the two coherent source which has same amplitude and same frequency, and they are in phase with each other. That is the very important part of this coherent sources. Now we'll switch on to this Young's double slit experiment. The experimental setup is shown here. So we can see that a plane wavefront is made to fall on an opaque screen AB having two narrow slits S1 and S2. So see here, S1 and S2, S1 and S2. The rays coming out of the convex lens are parallel rays, and the wavefront will be parallel plane wavefront. So see here, this is a plane wavefront. This is the source and this is the convex lens, and then here this is the plane wavefront coming here, and observing screen PQ is placed behind AB, this PQ. When the rays fall on S1 and S2, by Huygens principle, the two slits acts as a secondary source of light, emitting cylindrical wavelets in phase with each other at all times. Depending on the phase, we get dark and bright regions which are called fringes in the interference pattern. So this is the interference pattern. So we have seen that the blue dots has the maximum intensity, where crest fall on crest, they are in phase depending upon the phases. So when they are in phase, that is crest on crest and trough on trough, then we get this type of this is the maximum intensity we get. And when crest fall on trough or trough on crest, they are not in phase at all. The phase difference is totally zero. the time we have minimum intensity. So that time the spot will be dark. So here it will be bright, dark, bright, dark. So in this case we get the interference pattern, bright, bright, dark, bright, dark. Then we'll now to derive the conditions for dark and bright fringes on the screen. This is the setup here. So here we see S1 and S2 are the two slits. Let the distance between the two slits be d, small d, and the distance between O to this is the screen. So distance between the slit and the screen is capital D, O and O dash. The point O dash on the screen is equidistant from S1 and S2. So see, you can see that O dash is equidistant from S1 and S2. Therefore, the bright fringe at the center of the screen, we get a bright fringe at the center. The two wavelets from S1 and S2 travel different distances to reach P, and so the phases of the waves reaching P will not be the same. So see here students, here if you take this point in P, might be this is dark or bright, it depends upon the phase difference. If the path difference delta L between S1P and S2P is an integral multiple of lambda, the two waves arriving there will interfere constructively, producing a bright fringe at P. So see here S1, this distance is delta L, this is the path difference. So this path difference you can see between this, they are reaching at the different points. This distance is small and this is greater. So there is a path difference between that, that is DL, delta L, you can say delta L. So when we'll get this point right, so this is one of the condition. If the path difference delta L between S1P and S2P is an integral multiple of lambda, the two waves arriving there will interfere constructively, producing a bright fringe at P. If the path difference between S1P and S2P is half integral multiple of lambda, there will be destructive interference and the dark fringe will be located at P. So at this point, so this is the second condition. Now considering two triangles. So we'll consider two right angle triangles, S1, S1 dash P and S2, S2 dash P. So these two triangles we'll consider. These two are right angle triangles, so we'll have Pythagoras theorem related to it. Now we want the path difference between S2P and S1P. So we'll use Pythagoras theorem. So we'll take the squares S2P square minus S1P square for our convenience, because when we factorize this we'll get S2P minus S1P into S2P plus S1P. So we want to concentrate on S2P minus S1P, which is the path difference. So that is equal to, so the equation goes on. Now if we consider first triangle S1, S1 dash P, in that case we'll have, this is the hypotenuse S1P square, and here for the second triangle hypotenuse S2P. So S2P square is equal to D square plus, this is Y, the distance from here to here is Y, and since this is D, this is equidistant from here, so this is D by 2, this is D by 2. So naturally this will be Y plus D by 2 for this bigger triangle. So this will be the distance from P to S2 dash is Y plus D by 2. So we can see here D square plus Y plus D by 2 square minus, for the second triangle S1P square is equal to S1 dash square plus, now this you can see that this, the distance of this is D by 2. So it will be Y minus D by 2. This is totally y. So this is d by 2, so my distance. So we want till here. So p s1 dash is y minus d by 2. So this is the equation. So if you expand this equation, we'll have d square and plus y square plus 2 yd upon 2 plus d square upon 4 minus d square plus, expand this, y square minus 2 yd upon 2 plus d square upon 4. So what will happen here is d square will get cancelled. If you expand the bracket, y square will get cancelled, and this third term of this also will get cancelled, d square by 4, d square by 4. So ultimately what will remain is 2 times yd upon 2 plus 2 times yd upon 2 will remain. So that if we add it, will get is equal to 2 yd. The middle term of this and the middle term of this will be added. So this is the equation. S2p minus S1p is equal to delta L is equal to 2 yd upon S2p plus S1p. We have factorized this equation here. Now the condition for d upon d very much less than 1, we can write S2p plus S1p is nearly equal to 2d. Now giving delta L equal to 2 yd. So we have taken this 2 yd at the numerator and this 2d for this 2d. So what will happen? 2 will get cancelled, yd upon d. Thus the condition for constructive interference at P can be written as delta L equal to yn d upon capital D, which is equal to n lambda. This is for the constructive interference, and the position yn being the position on the y coordinate of nth bright fringe, n equal to 0 plus 1 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 so on. It is given by yn equal to n lambda d capital D upon small d. This is the condition for the constructive interference. Now similarly, the position of nth, that is n is equal to plus minus 1 plus minus 2 dark fringe, that is the destructive interference, is given by S2p minus S1p equal to delta L, which is equal to yn d small d upon capital D, which is equal to n minus half lambda, giving yn equal to n minus half lambda capital D upon D. So this is for the destructive interference. Now these are the two equations. Now we'll see what is the fringe width of bright and dark fringes, or you can say bandwidth is the same, fringe width or bandwidth. Now what is this fringe width or bandwidth? The distance between any two successive dark or any two successive bright fringes, that is yn plus 1 minus yn, is equal. This is called the fringe width and is given by fringe width equal to w equal to delta y, which is equal to yn plus 1 minus yn. That is fringe width is w is equal to lambda d capital D upon small d. So this is the fringe width for both the bright fringes and the dark fringes. It is equal for both the fringes. Now we can also write equation 7.16 to equation 7.19 in terms of phase difference between the two waves as follows. Now we saw the equation in terms of path difference. Now we'll see it in terms of phase difference, that is phi. The relation between path difference delta L and the phase difference delta phi is given by delta phi equal to 2 pi by lambda into delta L. Thus the phase difference between the two waves reaching P from S1 and S2 is given by delta phi equal to y small d upon capital D 2 pi upon lambda. So this equation we have substituted for delta L, which we have seen it previously. We have proved this. Then the condition for the constructive interference in terms of phase difference is given by delta phi n is equal to n into 2 pi, n is equal to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2, so on. This is a condition for constructive interference. The condition for destructive interference in terms of phase difference is given by delta phi n equal to n minus half 2 pi, that is n equal to plus minus 1 plus minus 2, so on. So this is the equation in terms of phase difference. Now we have seen the path difference equation, then the phase difference. We have seen the bandwidth or the fringe width, and next point is regarding the intensity distribution. Now the intensity at a point P on the screen where the phase difference between the two waves is phi. Then equations for the waves: E1 equal to E0 sine omega t and E2 equal to E0 sine omega t plus phi. Phi is the phase difference between the two waves. The incident intensity I0 is equal to E0 square, where E0 is the amplitude and we know that intensity is proportional to amplitude square. The resultant electric field at P will be given by E equal to E0 sine omega t plus E0 sine omega t plus phi. That is E equal to 2 E0 E0 cos phi by 2 sine omega t plus phi by 2. The amplitude of the wave is 2 E0 cos phi by 2. Thus, the intensity at point P will be proportional to mod of 2 E0 cos phi by 2 mod square, and it will be proportional to 2 I0 cos square phi by 2. I0 because E0 square is nothing but I0. When the amplitude of the waves coming from the two slits are different, then we have amplitude equal to E10 E10 plus minus E20, and the intensity, as we know that intensity is proportional to the square of amplitude, therefore E10 mod of E10 plus minus E20 square. You may note down all this. Then coming to the conditions for obtaining well-defined steady interference pattern. This is the very important part, that is the conditions, because Thomas Young, he used all these conditions to get the well-defined or sustained interference pattern. The first is the two sources of light should be coherent. Now what is coherent? We have explained you earlier that coherent means the source is derived from the same source. The two sources are derived from the same primary source, having constant phase difference, amplitude, frequency, etc. And if they are different, if it is not same, if the coherent it is not coherent, then the phase difference, there is a difference in phase, and then we do not get the steady interference pattern. So it is very important that the two sources of light should be coherent. Second, the two sources of light must be monochromatic. Monochromatic means of same color. It's very important because when we have seen the equation, in that we have seen lambda. Lambda is nothing but the wavelength of light. So if instead of taking monochromatic, if we take a general light, then the interference pattern will not be a steady interference pattern. So we have monochromatic light because we have in the fringe width also we have lambda, and the position for y-end position, it also depends upon lambda. So the two sources of light must be monochromatic. Then the two interfering waves must have same amplitude. This is also very important because if the amplitude is not same, then the interference pattern, where we want dark will not have dark, but it will be blurred. The interference pattern will not be steady, it will be blurred. That is, the contrast will not be perfect. That, like if the amplitude, for example, if the amplitude of both the wave is same, that is 2 centimeter rather, we can say, for example, 2 centimeter. So when they interfere and they come at a point, then the resultant is addition of the two waves. So if they are in same phase, crest will fall on crest. At that time it will be added and it will be 4 centimeter rather, and that time we'll have maximum intensity. And if it is if the crest fall on trough, then we'll have 0, we'll get the displacement 0 when crest fall on trough. So what we'll get 0. So in that case, we'll have the destructive interference and the intensity will be minimum. So it is very important that the two interfering waves must have same amplitude. Then fourth is the separation between the two slits must be small in comparison to the distance between the plane containing the slits and the observing screen. That is, the separation means that small d which we have taken between S1 and S2 should be very small in compared to the distance between the slit and the screen, that is capital D. For example, D is in 1 meter or 1.5 meter, and the separation between the two slits, small d, is nearly in millimeter. So it is comparatively very small. And if it is not small, then we do not get the steady interference pattern. The next is the two slits should be narrow. The two slits should be narrow. If it is wide, then more waves will come and more wave trains will come, and the interference pattern will not be a perfect one. Then sixth one, the two waves should be in the same state of polarization. So these are the 6 points are very much important, and the two waves should be in the same state of polarization, that is the vibrations of the electric vectors should be in the same plane. So this is very important, which we have seen yesterday. So these are the 6 main points where Thomas Young used these conditions to get the steady well-defined steady interference pattern. So you may note down this. Now, methods for obtaining the coherent sources. There are two methods which we are going to see now. One is the Lloyd's mirror and the other is Fresnel's biprism. So we will just discuss about Lloyd's mirror. Now here you can see the figure of Lloyd's mirror. Then see here, the light from the source is made to fall at a grazing angle on a plane mirror. So see here, this is a real source. Actually this is a real source, and the light which is shown by the blue lines, so they will be directly coming on the screen, and the red one they get reflected, that is reflected, and then they go to the screen. So here you can see the light falls directly on the screen as shown by the blue lines, and light falls after the reflection shown by red lines. The reflected light appears to come from a virtual source, and so we get two sources. So you can see here two sources. They are derived from a single source and hence are coherent. They interfere and an interference pattern is obtained. So in this way we can get the coherent sources from the real source or the primary source. The last point which we are going to discuss is the Fresnel biprism. Again, a biprism is a prism with vertex angle of nearly 179 you can take here, and refracting angle ranging from 30 minute to 1 degree. Here actually there are two biprism. Why is it called biprism? Because there are two prisms which are joined. Actually it is two prisms which are joined at the center. So it is called biprism. And this refracting angle here It is nearly 180, or you can say it is 179, and so that this is half minute and half minute, that is 1 degree, so it total becomes 180 here. The refracting edge of the biprism, so this is the refracting edge of the biprism, is kept parallel to the length of the slit. Monochromatic light from a source is made to pass through a narrow slit S and fall on the biprism. The two virtual images S1 and S2 are coherent sources obtained from single secondary sources S. The two waves are coming from S1 and S2 interfere and form the interference fringes. So here you can see that S1 and S2, actually the main source is S, but when it's getting reflected back, we see that this too becomes the virtual means not real, it is imaginary sources. These are called S1 and S2 are called the imaginary. And then we see that there is the superposition region here. They are superposed upon each other, the waves, and we get the interference pattern, that too well defined interference pattern. That is very important, because in well defined steady interference pattern, the bands, the fringe widths are same, which we get on the screen, which we can see on the screen. So students, you must have understood about the points which you have taken today regarding the interference due to the Young's experiment, and then we have seen the coherent sources and how we have obtained the coherent sources from Lloyd's mirror and Fresnel biprism. So this is enough for today. Thank you.